Was in the UK.
Yeah.
At that time you're locked out and you're all alone.
In a different country, first of all.
In a different country.
Yeah.
And also your co-founders are back at home. Mm-hmm. So the question now is, what am I really doing with my life?
Hi everyone, welcome to VR Thank you for joining us. We are really happy to have you. My name is Leah Kigondo, half of VR Wamboi is not with us today, but as you can see, we have someone else. But before that, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the subscription button, and the notification bell so that every time we release a new episode, you get notified. And make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms at we_r_feel. So today we have an interesting episode, and we have an amazing guest. And as I think you'd tell is we are having a lot of conversations around transitions, and one of the conversation we wanted to have is transition between corporate life and also entrepreneurship life, and how all the transitions that happen in those different scenarios. And today we have a guest that has gone through it from corporate to entrepreneurship, from entrepreneurship to entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And he's here to share with us part of his journey. And so I'm here to learn and we just get to know what happens, because I think most of us are interested in entrepreneurship. Some of us want to transition back to corporate and all that. And so, yeah. So our guest today is called Norman Munge. I've pronounced it correctly,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
That's the name.
Yeah.
So his bio is from navigating high and low lows of starting different tech companies. No one loves to dance with change, with resilience, acting as his guiding light. From a young age, his journey has been a thrilling tale of seizing opportunities, where others see roadblocks, stumbling, and picks himself up. He's driven by a passion to help people reach their full potential. When he is not immersed in the world of software engineering, you'll find him sharing his experience with upcoming entrepreneurs. And during his free time, he loves writing, breaking a sweat in the gym, as we can all see, and sharing on anything Liverpool football related. I'm not going to comment on that, but we are happy to have you. Welcome to VR.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome. So let's get into it. So I just start with like a very light question. So if you were one household item, what would you be?
I think I'd be the keys.
The keys. Why the keys?
Because I make the decision of whether somebody enters the house or not.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, nice one. Yeah. So if someone can, so that means you, as a person, you hold the keys to who gets access to you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Oh, that has it different. Oh, thank you. So, I think one of the things we like understanding at We Are Feel, and I think that this came from us like reading a book by Oprah called What Happened to You, is that we understand like so much of our upbringing and our environment and how we grew up really impacts who we are. And so I'd want to know how you were brought up and your younger years impacted the person you are now. Yeah.
Well, so I come from a family of 3 siblings.
Okay.
I'm the last born.
Oh.
So our family is pretty interesting. So my folks, they went abroad for almost 2 decades, and you are left alone. So how it impacted me is I had to be very independent from an early age.
Yeah.
And also mature. So that means that whenever I'm trying to make a decision, it's coming from a logical kind of sense, where I have to look at all the aspects, both good, both bad, pros, cons, yeah, and I think that's how it has really impacted me to where I am today.
Yeah. So more logical perspective, because you needed to
Yeah.
kind of make decisions since you were young.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that then speaks to the resilience in your bio and being able to like pick yourself up when things are not
Yeah.
going okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So since the discussion today is around entrepreneurship, and the transitions that have happened in your career or professional journey, would can you please share with us how that journey began? It can start from campus or high school and up to where you currently are and what you're currently doing.
Okay. So that's a good one. So something I didn't mention was my dad has always been into business, running his own startup, his own business. He used to sell beauty products. And when as a child, I usually believe you learn by observing.
Yes.
So when I got into high school, I wouldn't say I was the person who came with sweets and used to go and sell to everyone.
Yeah.
But I was more of the one who used to tell people what to do. Let's say bossy, for lack of a better word. But from that age, I came to realize I really love being in rooms where I can have a say in the decisions. So that being family, that being whatever setting I'm in. And then, so when I joined campus, my dad really impacted me into going into software engineering. So I studied DBIT at Strathmore. I actually did
What is?
So it's a diploma in business and information technology.
Yeah.
So at that time I didn't know, you could code using computers. For me, comps were all about gaming and all that.
Yeah.
But then after a while, like after the first semester, I was like, okay, I can really make some good money if I really knew how to code.
Yeah.
So from that time, now I started looking at, okay, what ideas can I explore, talking to my friends.
Yeah.
So when I was in my second year, so now I transitioned into a bachelor's of the same program. So one of my friends approached me and he mentioned, okay, I'm doing agriculture, you're in tech, maybe we combine our skill sets, see if we can come up with an idea.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to go into agriculture, but my take on it was I wanted to go into the farm, plant potatoes.
Yeah.
But then he brought quite interesting angle to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I have some experience, so let's try it. So at that time, Strathmore, the good thing with Strathmore, they have like a business hub.
Incubation hub, yeah.
So we applied. They were running a competition between Strathmore and Waterloo University from Canada on agriculture. So we were like, okay, what do we have to lose?
Yeah.
Let's try this thing. So that was my first startup. It was called Convifarm. I was running it with a really close friend, or rather family. It's called Mboro. So I applied to it. I matched the best. And we were like, okay, we could try this thing.
Yeah.
So did that. At that same time, another friend of mine was like, okay, I'm thinking of also coming up with a startup around tech, starting to build things for people and maybe also internal ideas. I was like, okay, I'm also actually want to do that because from an early age, I didn't want to go into employment.
Kabisa.
I was like, why should I go work for somebody?
Plus, you have also not seen it.
I've not even seen it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me try do this thing, build an empire. No, the goal has always been, let's be Facebook. So now I was running Convifarm and CC Tech. So CC Tech was the name of the other startup. We were based off UON, so University of Nairobi, and the other one was based off Strathmore. So that was commuting back and forth. I think at one point we tried to merge the two, so bringing like the tech world into Convifarm with also the people we had
at CC Tech.
Yeah. So ran those two companies for a while. I think for Convifarm almost 3 years, and then I decided to now focus more on CC Tech full time.
Yeah.
Then CC Tech for almost 7 years with a few friends of mine. So we were four, all of us from the same high school. Everything was rosy. So we started from the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just bootstrapped our way into having like a successful business.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's been my
Journey so far.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you first for telling us that journey. So what are you currently up to?
Okay. So as we segue into that,
Yeah.
So when I was in the UK,
Yeah.
at that time you're locked out and
Yeah.
you're all alone
In a different country, first of all.
in a different country.
Yeah.
And also your co-founders are back at home. So the question now is, what am I really doing with my life?
Yeah.
Is where do I see myself in the next few years?
Yeah.
And what I realized is, for one, I felt like I'd become so codependent on my co-founders. Because we'd been together for almost 7 years.
7 years, yeah,
at that time. So it was, okay, but now Norman sitting down, where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
And how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
So one thing I realized, as much as when I was young, I was opposed to trying to go into the corporate world,
Yeah.
I realized there's also some knowledge that I didn't have. So I decided, okay, let me try this on my own. So I went to Code of Africa. So Code of Africa essentially takes talent and connects them with jobs from abroad.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 years, thereabout. And then I felt now that, okay, I think now my growth is stalled.
Yeah, yeah.
So what can I try? Because I think there's a time I really felt fatigued. Like you wake up, doing, if it's not a similar job, it's, it's like so much of a routine.
Yeah.
And I've never been a person who
Like same
likes,
thing over
Yeah.
long period of time.
like saa zingine ni poa
Mix it up.
kuchanganyisha akili kidogo.
Yeah.
So I realized, one, I love building my own things, and I love taking things from the ground up, and I also love making decisions,
Yeah.
not only in the tech aspect but also in a business aspect.
Yeah.
So I saw an opportunity to join Antler. So Antler essentially brings people who are interested in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
They try to match them with co-founders, and then after there, if you match, identify a problem, and then take it from there.
Yeah.
So I decided to give it a shot. I was really nervous and I applied because what if they don't pick me,
Yeah.
So fortunately I got in, went through a really intense 3 months program.
Yeah.
Got a co-founder, his name is James. He's been in the fintech industry, worked at Safaricom,
Yeah.
worked at Zigo, and all over Africa. And I felt like we were a good match.
Yeah.
So from there, we went from now looking at problems. So first is, okay, what do you really like, or where are you as a person? So we realized both of us are in chamas at different capacities. Of course, he's older, so them it's
serious business
serious, yeah.
and very structured and yeah.
And then for me, I'm relatively new into this investing and everything, but I really love anything to do with investing and any opportunity that's out there. Basically making my money work
for you. Yeah.
And then we looked at chamas and we were like, why are chamas, why are they so traditional? So we decided, okay, let's try to come up with a product that we can actually make chamas use. And there are quite a few out there.
Yeah.
But our whole angle was, can we put it into like a WhatsApp kind of system where they don't have to go outside the environment. And so that's what we came up with. We dubbed it Wekeza Africa. And then after the program, we've been trying to see, okay, how can we go about it? Because the market is huge, but then with chamas, people come into chamas one because of trust.
So and you
how
mostly
do we
enter chamas
penetrate
with
that?
people that you know.
Exactly. So how do we bring chamas on board? How do we enhance the trust level? And I can say that's where we are. Just looking at that space and also looking at other things we could work on. So that's where
You currently
are.
Yeah.
Just trying to identify
problems. I think one of the things that you've said, co-founder codependency. What does that look like? I've actually never heard someone say it, but now thinking about it, it's very, I think for the startups I've worked for, most times I've found that, so this is the person who came up with an idea, but then as you guys grow, other people come in. Sometimes that kind of vision keeps shifting. Sometimes your kind of self-identity kind of get lost in the whole or your reason for being there kind of get lost in the whole co-founder togetherness, and there's this kind of like loyalty that you have, and be like, because also you don't want to rock the boat too much. You're like, okay, you also tend to conform a lot. What did co-founder dependency look like for you?
I think it's pretty much the same. So there are things where if you are alone, you can push yourself. But if you have people, you get so comfortable. Let's say you'll handle that, so it's fine. And also, if you maybe are interested in doing something, let's say, I don't know if an example, let's say financial. And then there's somebody who's already handling that finance aspect. You don't want to step on their shoes, on their toes. So it kind of limits you in that way, and then that also limits your growth, because if I'm interested in something, then I should explore it. If I don't, it will be a regret later on down the years. And I felt like I'd gotten into that position, and it was time to break that wall. And identify myself or the potential that
you had. What is your view on transitions in general? And I think you have had so many transitions from your startup in Strathmore to CC Tech, from CC Tech to COVID shenanigans. Now that you ended up working for different corporates, I think, because of, as you have said, Code of Africa connects you to different opportunities of work, to Antler. So what is your view on transitions in general? And do you think that all those transitions have led to growth?
I love transitions because one, it gets you out of your comfort zone. And from an early age, I've been somebody who tries to do the things people don't want to do. So let's say there's a challenge that comes up, and no one has any idea how to go about it. I'm usually the person who reads the room, and if people are reluctant to do it, I'm willing to go for it. And I think with that whole experience, there's growth in it. Because one, you're able to see how adaptable you are, and also you're able to also identify yourself in, okay, I did this. These are the lessons I learned. These are the challenges I faced. How did I go about them? What can I do better next time? So I usually love transitions, because if you don't put yourself in uncomfortable situations, then there is no growth. And I feel like life is limited, and if you don't actually push yourself to the best of your potential, then what are you living for? But at the same time, I'm not saying that
Just do things haphazardly.
yeah, exactly. You have to take calculated
Related
risks.
risks, yeah.
And also, I'm not the best person, and I wouldn't advise people to actually listen to me, because I can't say I'm the best person to actually. I haven't. It's the statement. I haven't really refined it in the sense that I'm still learning how to transition. Yeah, and it's different for every person. My way is not the same as yours.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because you also need to know who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses.
Yeah.
If there's an opportunity to work on your weakness, try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think do transitions get better, easier, harder, depending with where you are in your life? For example, when you're in Strathmore and doing the agribusiness and moving to Citec, maybe it was an easier jump for you because maybe you are young and you're like, you know what, let's just explore. And now maybe transitioning from Antler to something, then you're like, oh wow, where I am in my life, can it accommodate? Do you think transitions become better, easier, depending on where you are in your life?
Definitely.
And how has that, now tell us maybe an example of how that has been.
Okay, so from the whole anti experience, so
Yeah.
one thing that they really drilled into us is to fall in love with a problem.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the problem, you have to have an identity with it, something that you actually face, or somebody in your close circle faces it. And I think if there's one of the things I really learned from that program was that, because right now, looking at even the whole aspect of what I want to do, I'm like, do I really love this thing? Am I going to do it?
Are you connected?
Am I connected to it? Because it's well and good if you want to have your own business, generate your own income, get out of the rat race. But at the same time, it's not easy to run a business. And you see, in a corporate world, it's 9 to 5. Sometimes you can work 2 more hours. But a business, it's 24 hours. There's no sleeping. And challenges, they usually come when you are not expecting them. So you also have to put yourself in that situation, envision yourself there. And if you really see you doing it, then the thing you're trying to solve, or the problem you're trying to solve, you really have to be in tune with it.
That's because I know for me, I think transitions that have happened before, as you're sharing this when you're off mic, is I feel like right now I'm more likely. I think before I was like, okay, interesting, jump, interesting. It seems something like I can do. Then I go, and I think at that time allowed me to do that. And I think right now I can't just be like, oh, interesting, but is it aligned to what I want to do and pursue long term? Is it aligned to some of my values that I now currently have? And like what I envision for myself, I think the transitions that I now take would be a bit different, maybe more calculated than before. And that before was like my early 20s. So I think when you're at that age, I think my advice would be take as many opportunities as you can, and take those risks up, because I think you have less to lose. But I think as you go, continually farm that up for yourself, and what that essentially the long-term game looks like for you. I
think to add on to that, it does become easier.
It becomes easier
because
you become wiser.
Right? Because you're able to shift down the things that you know definitely won't work. And I think the other advice might be also have like a really close circle of people you can go talk to about every transition you're thinking about. Ask them, by there I want to do 1, 2, 3. What do you think about it? For me, my close circle is my partner. So she usually breaks it down from the high level idea you have to the minimalist of things, and you're
That's
like,
good.
wow, okay, I didn't think of
Think of
that
other
angle.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's great to have a supportive partner. I think that adds on to like removing the anxiety of, when you don't have support, you're like, oh, you also have to convince them to be on your side. But when they're already on your side, then
Yeah.
that makes things a bit easier.
Yeah.
So, are there specific moments or realizations that have prompted these shifts for you? And mostly, I think one that you said was fatigue and not wanting to be in and I think that's when you are at Code of Africa.
Yeah.
In other elements or other transitions that you have had, are there specific things that brought you to that realization that, oh, now I think it's time to move on or to jump into it?
Let me think about that.
Yeah.
No, I think it's usually just I don't know, my mind.
Yeah, like if you have convinced yourself, then it's good if you can see it.
If I can envision
Vision
myself
it,
in it,
yeah.
then I'll do it. And also, I think I've also mentioned that this, but if I feel like there's something I need to learn, then I'll do it.
You'll do it, yeah, to make sure that you learn that
To
what
make
you'd
sure
want
that I
to
learn
learn.
it.
Yeah.
So for one, I can give an example.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
at the beginning of the year, I was very sure that I will go and try this entrepreneurship thing again. I didn't know how to do it.
Where to start?
Where to start, because the other years had been with people,
Yeah.
co-founders, but this one I was very adamant. I want to try it on my own. So what does that mean? So
Yeah.
for me, it meant, one, I feel like I need to enhance my leadership skills. So what I did was, we usually have like a alumni group. On WhatsApp, you guys always communicate. So for me, I felt that we need to be more. And so I just started organizing like football matches, inviting guys to come, and going, booking places, making sure everything is sorted. And with that, slowly I realized how to enhance those skills.
Okay.
And also now, even in other aspects, even in my family, how to do certain things. If it's, let's say, being more in tune with my niece and nephew, and things like that.
Yeah. So interesting how you went about learning it. Like, it's very practical. So in my head, I was like ready for you to say I went for a seminar, or I went in for like a leadership class.
Actually,
by like
did that as well.
Oh, you did that as well? Because that was my expectation. Was like, I felt like I was not good at leadership, so the first thing I did is like go. But I think the fact that you added a practical element that affirmed what you learned at your seminar. I think, just let me jump in, ask, like, what is one of the things that you learned about leadership?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
One, people management. I think it's one of the most undervalued skills you can have.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are different. And the other thing I learned also was, as much as you want to do this leadership and control things, you also have to know to delegate some of the tasks. I'm a perfectionist by nature, so that was really hard for me. But slowly, I realized one of the things that in my previous experiences that was causing me much fatigue was trying to do everything on my
myself,
own. So just delegating things. For example, if it's somebody to go and rally the people, let's say, for example, in our alumni group, to hype the people up, let them do that.
You look for a hype man.
I'm not a hype man. That's not my nature. So that's something I can, delegate.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think people management is one of, I agree, it's one of the skills that We don't think we need, but we all need it, despite what level or technical career you are in, because you're interacting with people constantly, and you can never say that you just interact with a computer, even if you like you're a software. You interact with people continuously.
And I also think the beauty with trying to do this, trying to learn by experience and making it practical is you not only learn things about yourself, but also with the people you bring on board. So even with the alumni group, I think we are at a level where I'm even comfortable letting somebody try a new thing. So right now we're organizing a trip to Coast with our group, and there's somebody who actually went to Coast to lead things on that side. And that, for me, it was beautiful because they saw your vision and they actually took it to heart, and they're doing it. And that's the epitome of leadership, being able to influence people and have them buy into your idea. Oh wow, okay, that's great. I want to be part of your alumni group. May I? I want to go to Coast. So how do you prepare yourself for these transitions? So for one, coming back to what you mentioned, so it's what do I need to gain from this transition? How do I go about it? So in my case was, I need to know everything about a business. I've been there, right? But I can't say we really had like a mentor, or personally I didn't have a mentor to actually take me through that. So my go-to was, let me join this course. It's 6 months. I'll learn everything and all that. So it's one, you don't also, just dive in. Just dive in. I have to calculate. I'm transitioning. Right now we are adults, so there are bills to be paid. How am I going to handle that? Am I going into it full time, or am I balancing it with something else? What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? And talking to other people about the idea. So that's generally, so when you want to transition, that's what you do before transitioning, making sure that things are, whatever needs to be sorted is sorted out, or you know how you'd sort it out, and then be able to talk to other people to just kind of get their view, and then now do the jump. And once you do the jump, being disciplined about it. That is good, because that reminds me something I learned from, I don't know if you know Brené Brown. Brené Brown is a writer, and she talks about vulnerability, and she's also an organizational, these guys who teach about leadership and stuff. And one of the things she ever said is that when her kids, so every time she has a sit down with her kids and let her kids tell her what they want to do in regards to like swimming, what do you call this, games, or like hobbies they don't want to explore. And the agreement is that they have to stay in it for the whole term. There's no, you go into it and hate it. You'll have to do it at the end. Why do you think that is important from a business point? Like if you decide to jump into it, stick to it. Why do you think that is important? Why not get out after 1 week when you're not feeling like it? Okay, that's a good question. I think it's important because you never know the next day how it's going to be. Today might be a low day, but tomorrow definitely it will be a high. Okay, not definitely, but at some point it will be a better day. It will be a better day. And I usually feel like not only in business but also in life, it has its highs and it has its lows. And you just have to be prepared for both. So in a business aspect, let's say you've lost a bit of income, or maybe you're experiencing technical issues, nothing is working. The following day somebody might mention something that opens doors for you. So you have to be disciplined, and also it's your learnings. Don't feel like it's a liability. it's okay. By the what did I learn today? How can I be better tomorrow? And one thing I know for sure is there's always somebody you can reach out to who will be able to help you fix whatever you're facing.
Yeah.
So that's my my take
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, someone I was listening to another podcast, and they were saying how don't, like, if when you're planning, don't just plan with the worst case scenario or worst experience or your highest of experiences. Try have a balance, because because when you plan with your like low times, you're more likely to be very pessimistic and very come from a scarcity mindset. And then when you plan from a very high time, you tend to ignore the risks and like some of the challenges you might go through. And so it's good to find out like a balance of this could be good, this could be bad. And I think just maintaining that discipline is understanding that there are seasons that will come that will be good and seasons that will be bad. And you got that, like you got that, you got the bad seasons and you got the good seasons that would be coming. So
can I touch on that?
Please go.
I remember when we were starting CC Tech, the first few months, at that time we only had 200 shillings, and you need to go from your end, go back to, that time I was living in South Sea. And that caters for transport.
And you need to eat and stuff,
But we stuck with it, and after a while we were getting, gigs we never thought we'd get. We traveled all over Kenya to train people that we would have never gotten the opportunity to do so. So, and the money was also
good money.
It was good money.
That's good. And I think for our viewers is learning that there will be good times and there'll be bad times, but when you stick it out, there is good outcomes. And I think the outcomes is not just like financially, as you've said, is like also asking yourself, today was not such a good day, how can I make it better tomorrow, and seeing what other ways that you can make that better. I think that's a good way to have a view in life. And so thank you for that. So mind shift. So when you're moving from one, when you moved from CC Tech or from the different transitions that have happened, what are some of the perspectives that have changed during these transitions? Maybe you can share with us on when you're moving from one, maybe from CC Tech to Code of Africa to now Antler. What are some of the mind shifts that have happened or perspectives that have changed during those?
I think one is believing in myself more. And I think that's the biggest one. Because I mentioned the codependency. But right now I'm at the space where if there's something I really want to do, and no one's going to stop me.
You're gonna do it.
I'll go and do it, regardless of all the negative voices that usually comes with transitions from other people and also your own. I'll still go and do it.
Oh, nice. Like, so before, like, because of this many transitions makes now I can actually do it. So I keep telling, like, during our episodes, I keep saying some of the things that keep me going is remembering that, there's a time I did this, so even this thing that I'm facing now, I can do it, because I can gain confidence from something I've already done before. So actually, because you've just mentioned that people talk and people say things during transition, I can imagine when you're getting out of like a good paying job or like leaving a CC Tech, that a job, a company you had built and like it was now growing. How did your family and close friends react to these decisions of living stability, quote unquote, to doing entrepreneurship?
Well, I can say one with my family, my parents.
Mm.
They really don't get this entrepreneurship thing you're trying to do.
Yeah, but how can they not understand? Considering your dad was in
Yeah,
business, how comes
that's
he
the
can't?
irony,
He
right?
can't connect it. I'd think it'd be like, oh yeah, I do it. I did it. You know.
Yeah, I think that's the irony with that.
Yeah.
Um, so my take is usually I usually do it then tell them after.
After you've already started doing
After the
it,
journey has begun, then
you're like, oh,
by they did this, because at the end of the day they are not going to churn you, or they will
yeah.
always be there.
Is it a way of is it a way of like protecting yourself in a way that, because you know they would be a bit skeptical and this is something you want to do, so like you'd start doing it and then you say when you have already done it, because now okay, you already started it, so there's nothing much they can do about it.
Yeah,
Do you think
yeah.
that's one of the way you do cope with that? In a way,
Probably, yeah.
probably.
And I think it stems from my childhood. Yeah, I think also it's also don't like many negative thoughts
Or comments
or
like,
comments,
yeah,
or yeah. But it's not to say that whatever they usually tell me isn't valid.
yeah, yeah,
I kind of believe that most of the things people ask, I've
yeah,
already thought about it,
yeah,
or with the people I'm really close to, I usually debrief with.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you recall how are there other people, by the way, who
Yeah.
you are impacted by these decisions of transitions?
Yeah, recently it's been my partner.
How has she been taking it?
She's all on board.
She's all on board.
But of course, it's sitting down and looking at the whole spectrum. It's not just doing something for the sake of
Doing
because
it, yeah.
my mind can be pretty wild. So it's how do we turn it down to what actually matters?
Yeah.
And what are we going to gain from it? And also my close friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Telling them by there I'm trying to do 1, 2, 3. What's your take on that? So just hearing their perspectives.
Yeah, yeah.
And in other ways, as much as I mentioned my parents, I tell them after.
Yeah.
There are certain decisions where I think they're really,
Say is important.
It's really important.
Yeah, yeah.
So during those times, it's knowing who do I really need to talk to before doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. Who do I need to talk to before doing it, and who do I need to talk to after?
Yeah.
After doing it,
Doing it, yeah.
or who do I need to bring in and who I don't need to bring in at this point, depending with where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very important decision to like know who needs to what at what time.
Yeah.
I think that also helps manage like expectations from your end and like reduces the pressure from yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people, yeah, will definitely always have something to say. And I think, but at the end of the day, I think the main important thing is you as a person understanding that the choice lies with you.
Yeah.
And someone can be like, yeah, that's a good idea, but then you're also not feeling too good about it. Or someone can be like, nah, that's not gonna work, and that you're too excited. So I think at the end of the day, the choice still, yeah, the choice is yours. This advice is good, but the choice still remains with you. Yeah. So how do you handle failure? How do you handle failure, and how do you handle the fear of failure?
I think a failure is usually hits hard. It's one of the worst feelings if you don't succeed at something.
Yeah.
But then again, it's good to sulk for a few days or whatever time.
Feel your feelings.
Yeah, feel your feelings, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't get stuck in that rut.
Mm.
You need to remember, I actually tried it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the next thing I try
It's going to fail. So don't
fail.
put the same mark of failure from this to your next venture. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've gained lessons from failure.
Yeah.
So how do you, and those failures are now your strengths. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that mark of like, and I think that should replicate across boards. I think just generally in life, just because maybe this relationship didn't work, don't think like the next relationship won't work. If this
Yeah.
business didn't work, don't think like the next business won't work. I think that mindset is important because I feel like nowadays our culture is, because this thing didn't work,
Yeah.
we want to be very super guarded, super protective, super, and I think come then now we start going at everything from a scarcity
Yeah.
point of view and not like nowadays I think thinking about success is lower than
Mm.
thinking about failure or something not working out.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same? I think we are more currently we are less vulnerable and opening up and being open to experiencing new things. I think we are more guarded and more I don't want to experience this because it might go.
Mm.
I think there's so much negative connotation
Yeah.
towards a lot of things. I think maybe it's because of social media and stuff. Yeah,
Social
yeah,
media.
yeah. I think it's because of the kind of information we are accessing. I think a word. No, 3 questions to go.
Okay, that's fine.
What does success mean to you, and how do you set yourself up for success?
Mm. Success. Um, I think success for me is a day at a time. So whatever I set out to do on that particular day, if I've achieved that, that's
That's
success.
success to you.
So it's more of short-term, achieving your short-term goals, which lead up to the long-term
Long-term
vision.
vision.
Yeah.
What success a day at a time? I think that should be like a tagline or something. Yeah, that should be a tagline. And how do you set yourself up for success?
Um, I think it's being very realistic with who I am. So, and this is something I've also recently come to
Yeah.
find out about myself
Yeah.
is I usually have pretty big, ambitious ideas, but the way now I'm trying to set myself up to all this success
Yeah.
is narrowing it down to the simplest thing you can achieve
Yeah.
on that particular day. So I think there's a term we coined early this year is keep things moving.
Oh.
Don't
Yeah.
stall them.
Yeah.
If it's an email you have to send,
Do it that time.
do it at time.
Yeah.
If you're nervous about sending it, send it. Let
Yeah.
the consequences come after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's simple things, minimal things. If there's a need to delegate, do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And move on. Yeah. I think that's a good way of setting up. I think one of the things I've also been trying is if something is difficult for me, it's either like give it 5 minutes but not leave it for too long, because that means you might end up convincing yourself why you should not be the one to do it. And just doing it.
Yeah.
Just do it even if it's uncomfortable. Like yesterday a colleague of mine wanted me to send a certain email, and they would have done it, but I told them, don't worry, I'm gonna take it up. But it was like, oh my god, that's a difficult email. But yeah. So one last question: what are you currently feeling? What are you currently figuring out?
I'm figuring out what the next decade means for me. And by that I mean with this entrepreneurship thing is what do I really love, and what problems are there, and what can I solve, because I know I have I can say I'm creative and innovative, but now how do I juggle that with something that's impactful? So that's something I'm slowly figuring
out. Oh, nice. I think understanding how understanding what you like and how that fits into your purpose. I think that gives you long-term satisfaction than just money. It's not just about money. Entrepreneurship is not just about money.
It's not.
It's about purpose and passion.
Yeah, it's about purpose and passion.
Yeah.
Money. So one of the things now my co-founder told me when we first had an interaction is don't chase the money. Money will always come because you're young, you're bright.
Yeah.
Find something you really think you can be really
Good at.
and money will come.
Money will
Success will come.
Yeah.
People will be the ones calling you.
Yeah.
You're not the one who's going to be chasing people.
Yeah. So find what you actually love and can be really good at, and success will come. So that is it. How was the episode?
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
Can we have a retake?
Yeah, please. We can go at it for another hour, by the way. But thank you guys for listening. I think that has been such an insightful episode. I think when I was starting I was a bit anxious, but I think I just like calmed into it. But yeah, so thank you so much. Make sure that you follow us on we_r_Fio on Twitter, on Instagram, every single platform. Listen to our podcast on all podcast platforms, on Spotify, Google Podcast. Also, you can get us on YouTube at We Are Fio. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that every time we release a new episode, you get notified. Norman, thank you so much. It's such an honor having you in our platform. Do you want to plug yourself?
First, I'd say thank you for the conversation.
You're welcome.
I think so many gems came out of it.
Yeah.
Also learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not big on social media. But if you search Munge_is_Norman, you can find
you. Okay. Thank you so much. And also please share with us your experiences and transitions in entrepreneurship, in corporate, on our comments below. You can also DM us at we_r_Fio on our Instagram page, and we'll be happy to answer your questions or even share your comments in our next episodes. Thank you and bye.